number one, you want a place where you know your money isn't going to get lost.
Okay.
So if you put it in cryptocurrency, governments have a real difficult time getting to that money.
Yes.
Bad guys have a real difficult time getting to that money. So check, that box is checked. The second thing is political issues, right? If a cryptocurrency becomes the global currency, then we don't have to worry about governments, and being pegged to just the dollar or being pegged to the euro or whatever. This is a global currency that everybody has their money in. In fact, we even have this thing now, the stablecoin, right, which is pegged to the dollar currently, but it could disengage at some point. What about if the world decides we don't want the dollar to be our boss anymore, and maybe even American investors start saying, I don't trust our government. They're spending so much money. They're bankrupting us. I want to get my money out of the dollar, and I want to put it in something else that at least I know is going to be there tomorrow. And maybe this alternative currency, cryptocurrency of some kind, maybe not Bitcoin or something, but some version, becomes the thing.
So, I mean, there's a lot here to unpack, and there are honestly things that probably, I don't understand exactly with the liquidity dynamics and how it's issued and redeemed, that we got to probably unpack there. I think there's a lot going for cryptocurrency. Like you said, a couple boxes there are check would be nice. I think the things that people have to get their heads around is, one, it's not a medium of exchange. It's more of a store of value at best, similar to gold, but it's not a unit of exchange, at least so far. So that would have to get worked out. I do know at some point there, broadly, different cryptocurrencies have different amounts. Some are finite, some are infinite.
Yeah, like Bitcoin has a limited supply.
So I don't know. I know it. It halves in value every X amount of time, or at least the number of units. It creates more units at a certain schedule. But there's a point where they stop creating any more units, and so then you're going to have a fixed number of units, I guess, that can keep dividing forever. But then then I guess what could happen is the value goes up and down, and maybe there's a way there to meet liquidity concerns if that's happening. But that's a totally different dynamic than what everyone's used to world order, which is currencies printed and redeemed. Here it's held by a certain number of people and institutions that can hold on to it. So you have to figure out the supply issue, I think. And again, right now, and this could change at some point, it probably will, but right now, the volatility amongst all crypto are far too.
And then you don't want a country that is, or whoever's in charge of this crypto, to lose the code. Like that guy with the $900 million of
there were
Bitcoin.
A couple. One that they put it on an old server and it went to the dumpster or something.
How much he spent? I think he spent.
He got investors.
He spent like $9 million or something searching through this big garbage dump to find the key to his $900 million. So we don't want anybody to. The world reserve currencies are in some cryptocurrency, and we lose the code. That would be terrible.
That's not good.
So one of the things that people are concerned about, in the context of what we're talking about, is what does that mean to my investments? What happens if the dollar loses its reserve currency? Does that mean that the stock market's going to crash and I'm going to lose all my money? And I think we can look to, for example, what happened with England, right, when they lost their reserve currency status. Their stock market didn't crash, and it didn't cause all kinds of terrible things because money's fungible. Investors go elsewhere.
Yes, that's right. And I think it would reorder things. I mean, there would be volatility, and depends if this is unwound over a set amount of time with kind of a known off ramp versus this is just somebody somehow overnight there's another Bretton Woods and we just get ripped out from under us. I think you'd see actually probably more volatility hit the credit and bond markets. That would probably be impacted first, which would have a cascading effect into stocks. There's no question. But generally speaking, I mean, all the countries that once held reserve status and no longer do, all of them are still here with functioning economies, with functioning markets. And I wouldn't, I don't think that would change.
I mean, if you look at the English, okay, let's use them as the example. So if you're at one time, because they were the world's reserve currency, everybody invested in England. So they had the luxury that we have now where, hey, everybody's sending their money to us and we can fund all the stuff we want and all that. Well, that changed. So now people aren't all investing in England anymore. They're investing in the United States. So the English people instead of investing locally, right, in English companies, they start investing in America.
Yep.
So if we get replaced by something else,
Yes.
It's not the end of our stock, our ability to invest, because as investors, it sounds terrible, but if U.S. companies are not the best place to invest, then we'll invest elsewhere. And so we can survive this as investors, even though maybe our country might be hurt. But as an investor, you can invest overseas, you can invest in other things that are not being decimated by the fact that we're not the world's reserve currency.
Oh man, that's a great point. So you're right. We look at an opportunity set, and just it happens to be during our times in this profession, the U.S. has largely been the place to be. And U.S. companies do well as an extension that the U.S. dollars, and we can borrow cheaply, and money can cheaply be accessed by major corporations to invest. Like that happens. So if there's a day where that was not the case, then we could absolutely say, let's go there. I mean, for instance, let's take those Australian markets.
Yeah.
Great market. We don't have to invest there because U.S. dollar is really good, but that is a completely functioning stock market, functioning company, does very well, similar return profiles.
We'll invest over there.
So we go there, right? So I think it's a very fair point is that.
This is like Mexicans. The Mexicans, maybe they don't feel very comfortable with their economy and what's going on. So what do? They don't invest in Mexico anymore. They invest in the United States.
Yes.
So whatever replaces us, God forbid.
Yeah, right. Hopefully that doesn't happen.
Don't want that.
We're not close.
But whatever replaces us, we can invest there. And
Yes.
So as investors, we have the ability. Money is fungible. We can move it around, and we can find places of opportunity. So yes, it's unlikely, but possible. There's a more than zero chance that the dollar is not forever going to be the world's reserve currency. But as an investor, it's not the end of the world.
No, we would look at that. We would we'd take a look at canvas the landscape out there, and then we would probably need to repurpose those dollars, which we have every ability to do.
Yeah. If you like what you just saw and you want to keep having more fun than a human being should be allowed to have when talking about all this boring financial stuff, click right here and you'll get more content.